The idea sounded fun when Jake first mentioned it. We were sitting in his apartment late at night, eating cold pizza and scrolling through creepy videos online. Every other video was some group exploring an abandoned building at 3 a.m. Most of them looked fake. Loud music, overreacting, cheap jump scares. Jake laughed and tossed his phone onto the couch. "We should do something real," he said. "Something nobody else is crazy enough to try." That's when Marcus brought up the abandoned school. At first, nobody said anything. Everyone in our town knew about Blackwood High, even if people pretended not to. The school had been abandoned for almost 20 years after a strange incident shut the place down. Officially, the building had structural problems. That's what the city claimed. But nobody really believed that story. People said students disappeared there. Not one or two, several. Some rumors claimed the school janitor lost his mind after hearing children screaming inside empty classrooms at night. Others said teachers refused to stay after sunset because they kept hearing lockers slam on their own. Most people laughed about those stories during the daytime, but nobody. You ever went near that place at night? That was the weird part. Even adults avoided it. Jake leaned forward with a grin on his face. "One full night inside Blackwood High," he said. "No fake reactions. No editing tricks. Just us." "Terrible idea," I told him immediately. But honestly, that was exactly why I knew we were going to do it. Marcus was already excited. He started searching the place online, pulling up old photos and blurry articles. Some websites claimed the building was cursed. Others said homeless people sometimes broke in and heard strange sounds coming from the second floor. The second floor. That detail kept showing up. Always the second floor. Even though part of it had collapsed years ago. Jake looked at me. "Come on, man. This video would blow up." I should have said no. I should have stayed home. But there's something dangerous about being around people who aren't afraid of anything. Eventually, their confidence starts infecting you. They laugh, and suddenly the whole thing doesn't seem serious anymore. By midnight, the plan was set. Me, Jake, Marcus, and Tyler. 4 cameras, flashlights, sleeping bags. One night inside the most feared building in town. The drive there felt normal at first. Music playing, Tyler joking around in the backseat, Marcus filming random clips for the intro. Jake kept talking about how viral the video was going to become. But the closer we got to the school, the quieter everyone became. The roads started emptying out. Streetlights disappeared. Even the GPS signal started cutting in and out. Then we finally saw it. Blackwood High. The building sat behind rusted gates at the end of a cracked road, surrounded by dead trees. The windows looked completely black, like giant empty eyes staring directly at us. No lights, no movement, nothing. Jake parked the car across the street. For a few seconds, nobody moved. "You guys feel that?" Tyler asked quietly. I knew exactly what he meant. The place felt wrong. Not scary. Worse. Heavy. Like the entire area was holding its breath. Marcus forced a laugh. Probably just nerves. But his voice sounded shaky. We grabbed our equipment and crossed the road toward the entrance gate. The metal sign above it still barely read Blackwood High School, though half the letters had fallen off years ago. That's when we noticed something strange. The front. T-gate was already open. Not wide open, just enough for someone to walk through. Jake stopped recording for a second. Wasn't this place locked? Nobody answered. The wind moved through the trees behind us with this low whistling sound that honestly made my skin crawl. Tyler looked back toward the car. Maybe someone else is here. Marcus shook his head. At this hour? No chance. Jake lifted his camera again and smiled. pretending everything was fine. "All right, guys," he said loudly for the video. "We're officially entering Blackwood High." The second we stepped past the gate, the temperature dropped. I swear to God, it felt instant. One step. That's all it took. Suddenly the air felt freezing cold. Tyler rubbed his arms immediately. "Okay. Nah. That's weird, Dot." Even Jake stopped smiling after that. The school entrance stood ahead of us, covered in graffiti and dirt. Most of the windows were shattered. One of the doors hung slightly open, and that's what bothered me the most. The building looked abandoned, but somehow, it also looked recently disturbed, like something still moved around inside. Marcus pushed the door open slowly. The sound echoed through the darkness. The smell hit us immediately. Dust, mold, wet wood, and something else underneath it, something old. Our flashlight beams moved across the hallway. Rows of rusted lockers stretched endlessly into darkness. Papers covered the floor. Old student posters still hung on the walls, faded almost white with age. Everything looked frozen in time. Tyler whispered, "This place is creepy as hell." Then somewhere deep inside the school, a loud metallic bang echoed through the hallway. We all jumped. Jake spun his flashlight toward the darkness. "Hello!" he shouted. "No answer." Just silence. A horrible silence. The kind that makes your ears ring. Marcus laughed nervously. Probably pipes or something. But nobody believed that, because right after he said it, we heard another sound. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Somewhere upstairs. We all looked at each other instantly. The second floor. The footsteps stopped the second we looked upstairs. Not faded away. Not slowly disappeared. Stopped instantly. Like whoever was up there realized we heard them. Nobody spoke for a few seconds. The only sound left was the faint buzz coming from Jake's camera microphone. Tyler 4. Arcedei. A nervous laugh. "Okay. Somebody's definitely in here." Marcus shook his head quickly. "No way. The second floor's unstable. Nobody can walk up there." But even he didn't sound convinced. Jake aimed his flashlight toward the staircase at the end of the hallway. Half the steps were broken, covered in dust and pieces of concrete. A yellow warning sign hung sideways from the railing. "Do not enter. Structural damage." The flashlight beam moved higher toward the darkness above. Nothing. No movement. No sound. Still, every part of me felt like someone was standing up there watching us. More. Standing up there watching us. Jake lowered the camera slowly. "Tell me you guys heard that." "We all heard it," I said. Tyler looked toward the front entrance behind us. "Maybe we should just film downstairs and leave before sunrise." Marcus immediately laughed. "Bro, we've been here 5 minutes." "Exactly," Tyler replied quietly. "And it already feels wrong." Nobody argued with him. Because deep down, we all felt it now, that heavy pressure in the air, like the building didn't want us there. Jake tried changing the mood. He started filming random classrooms and making jokes for the video. But the energy was go. Knee. Even his voice sounded forced. We moved deeper into the hallway together, our flashlight beams crossing over old lockers and peeling walls. Every step echoed louder than it should have. The school felt too empty. That's hard to explain unless you've been somewhere like that before. Most abandoned places still feel dead. This place didn't. It felt awake. As we passed the first classroom, Marcus pushed the door open carefully. The hinges let out this long, painful creak that echoed down the hallway. Inside, everything was covered in dust. Tiny desks sat in perfect rows, facing a cracked whiteboard. Rotten books were scattered across the floor. Someone had written names all over the walls in black spray paint. But one thing immediately stood out: the chalkboard. At first it looked blank. Then Tyler stepped closer with his flashlight. There's writing on it. We all moved near the board. Faded white chalk covered almost the entire surface. One sentence repeated over and over again in shaky handwriting. "Don't let them hear you." Jake stared at it silently. Marcus tried laughing again, but this time nobody joined him. That's probably from some teenagers messing around. Under his breath, he muttered, "I wanted to believe that. I really did." But something about the writing felt wrong. The words weren't neat or dramatic, like graffiti. They looked rushed, desperate, like whoever wrote them was terrified. Tyler suddenly pointed toward the corner of the classroom. Guys, we turned our flashlights together. A small pile of children's shoes sat against the wall, old, dusty, covered in mold, at least 8 pairs. Nobody spoke. Jake slowly zoomed his camera closer. "Why would those still be here?" Marcus swallowed hard. Maybe props. Maybe someone put them there to scare people. "Who?" Tyler snapped. No answer. The silence inside that classroom became unbearable. Then came another sound, a distant scream. This time louder, much louder. It echoed somewhere far down the hallway outside the classroom. A child's voice, crying, screaming, then suddenly cutting off. Tyler jumped back so hard he knocked over one of the desks. What the hell was that? Jake ran toward the classroom door, with his flashlight shaking violently. "Hello!" he shouted into the hallway. Nothing answered. The hallway was empty. Completely empty. But the scream had been. Unreal. There was no doubt about that anymore. Marcus walked out beside Jake, his face pale now. "Someone's messing with us." "You heard a kid in here at 2 a.m? Tyler said. "Who would do that?" Before anyone could answer, a loud buzzing sound exploded above our heads. We all flinched. One of the hallway lights flickered on for half a second, then another, and another. For a brief moment, the hallway lit up in weak, flashing yellow light, just enough for us to see farther down the corridor. And that's when I saw it, a figure standing at the far end. Small, motionless, a child, at least I think it was. The lights immediately died again. Darkness swallowed everything. Tyler cursed loudly. "Did you guys see that?" Jake pointed his flashlight down the hallway instantly. Nothing was there. No movement. No footsteps. Just empty darkness. Marcus looked genuinely terrified now. Okay. This isn't funny anymore. Nobody was joking anymore. Jake started breathing faster. I could hear it clearly through the silence. "We're not alone in here," he whispered. Then Tyler grabbed my arm suddenly. Hard. "Listen." At first, I heard nothing. Then Estelle. Oli, very faintly, whispering, "Coming through the walls. So quiet. I almost thought it was wind." Children's voices. Dozens of them, whispering all at once. None of us moved. The whispers became clearer. Not full sentences, just fragments. "Help us. It's dark. He's coming." Tyler backed away from the wall immediately. Nope. We're leaving." "Nope." Marcus nodded fast. Yeah, we got enough footage." Jake didn't respond. He was staring down the hallway again, completely frozen. I followed his flashlight beam, and my stomach dropped instantly. The classroom door, at the very end of the corridor, was slowly opening by itself, not fast. Slowly, like someone was carefully pulling it inward from the darkness inside. The hinges creaked softly. The whispers stopped. Every flashlight in our hands flickered at the exact same time. Then, from inside that room, the sound of a school bell rang loudly through the building. The sound of the school bell nearly stopped my heart. It blasted through the hallway so loudly that all of us jumped at the same time. The noise echoed across the entire building, bouncing off the walls like the school had suddenly come back to. All life. Then silence. Complete silence again. Nobody moved. I could hear Tyler breathing hard beside me. Marcus looked ready to run. Even Jake, who had been acting fearless all night, looked completely shaken now. That bell shouldn't even work, Marcus whispered. He was right. The power in the school had supposedly been dead for years. Jake slowly aimed his flashlight toward the open classroom at the end of the hallway. Did someone just turn that on? No, Tyler said instantly. No chance. We're leaving. Right now. But Jake didn't move. He kept staring at that doorway like something inside was pulling his attention toward it. Jake, I said quietly. Come on. Then we heard it again, another scream. This time it sounded much closer. Not somewhere far away anymore. Right near us, a child screaming in pure terror. The sound echoed through the hallway for several seconds, before cutting off suddenly, like someone had covered their mouth. Tyler grabbed my arm tightly. We need to go. But before anyone could move, a loud slam exploded behind us. Bang. We spun around instantly. The classroom we had just come from was now shut. The door had slammed completely. Loosed on its own. Marcus cursed under his breath. Nah, I'm done. He rushed toward the exit side of the hallway, but after only a few steps, he suddenly stopped, frozen. What? Jake asked. Marcus slowly raised his flashlight. Every locker lining the hallway was open now. All of them. Dozens of locker doors hanging open at the exact same angle. None of us had heard them open. The hallway suddenly felt colder than before. Then came the smell. Something rotten. Wet. Like mold mixed with standing water. Tyler covered his nose immediately. What is that? I didn't answer because something else caught my attention. Inside the lockers, there were papers. Hundreds of them. Small pieces of folded notebook paper, stuffed inside every locker door. Jake stepped closer carefully and pulled one out with shaky fingers. His flashlight moved across the writing. Then his face changed instantly. What? I asked. He handed me the paper. 3 words were written over and over again across the page. He is still here. My chest tightened immediately. Marcus grabbed another paper from a different locker. Same sentence. Tyler checked another. Same thing again. Every low. Seeker contained the same message. He is still here. Jake looked around nervously. Okay. Somebody's definitely doing this. Who? Tyler snapped. How would they know we're here? Nobody answered. Because deep down, none of us believed this was some prank anymore. The building felt alive now, like it was reacting to us. Then suddenly, crack, a loud static sound burst from somewhere above us. The school intercom. We all looked toward the ceiling immediately. Static hissed through the hallway speakers for several seconds. Then a voice came through, distorted, weak, but clear enough to understand. Students, return to class. The voice cut out, then static again. Marcus backed away slowly. No, absolutely not that. Tyler was already pulling out his phone. I'm calling somebody. That no signal, Jake muttered while checking his own screen. We all looked at our phones instantly. Nothing, no bars, no service. That made Tyler panic. You said we'd have signal here. I did earlier, Jake shouted back. The tension between everyone started rising fast. Nobody was thinking clearly anymore. Another loud metallic bang echoed upstairs. Then footsteps. Ready. Next time. Fast. Directly above us. Back and forth. Back and forth. Like multiple people sprinting across the second floor. but that floor was partially collapsed. No one should have been able to stand up there. The running suddenly stopped. Then came silence again, a horrible silence, the kind where your brain starts imagining things. Jake swallowed hard. We need proof before we leave. Thought Tyler stared at him like he was insane. Proof of what? That somebody's here. Marcus shook his head quickly. Dude, I don't think somebody is here. Nobody said anything after that, because all of us were starting to think the exact same thing. Jake slowly turned back toward the open classroom at the end of the hallway, the one that had opened by itself. The darkness inside looked deeper somehow. Wrong, like the flashlight couldn't fully reach inside it. Then something moved. Fast. A shadow crossing past the doorway. We all saw it. Jake instantly ran forward with the camera. Hey, he shouted. Jake, stop, I yelled. But he was already moving down the hallway. Marcus cursed and followed him. Tyler and I had no choice except to go too. Our footsteps echoed loudly. Why? As we rushed toward the room. The closer we got, the colder the air became. By the time we reached the doorway, my hands were shaking. Jake pointed his flashlight inside, rows of desks. Dust, broken ceiling tiles, nothing else. The room looked empty. The atmosphere inside felt unbearable, like walking into a freezer filled with invisible people. Then Tyler noticed something near the teacher's desk. Drawings. Children's drawings scattered across the floor. Jake crouched down and picked one up. It showed stick figures standing in a classroom. All the faces were blacked out, except one. A tall figure standing near the board with long arms and no eyes. Above it, written in red crayon, were the words, "The teacher doesn't let us leave." Marcus stepped backward immediately. I hate this place. Then the intercom crackled again, this time much louder. Static screamed through the speakers overhead, and then a voice spoke clearly. Not distorted anymore, not weak. A calm male voice. Class has begun. Every classroom door in the hallway slammed shut at the exact same moment. The sound of every classroom door slamming shut at once shook the entire hallway. Bang, bang, bang. It echoed around us like gunshots. Tyler screamed and stumbled backward into one of the desks. Marcus spun around so fast he nearly dropped his flashlight. Jake's camera shook violently in his hands as he tried to process what had just happened. Then silence again. That awful silence. The kind that feels alive. Nobody spoke for several seconds. We just stood there inside that classroom, frozen, listening to the building breathe around us, because that's honestly what it felt like now. Like Blackwood High was breathing, watching, waiting. Tyler was the first one to move. Open the door, he snapped at Jake. Jake rushed toward the classroom entrance and grabbed the handle. Locked. He pulled harder. Nothing. Move, Marcus said. He shoved Jake aside and yanked the handle with both hands. The old metal door rattled loudly, but didn't budge. It's jammed, Marcus whispered. No, Tyler said quickly, panic rising in his voice. No, no, no. He grabbed the handle next. Still locked. That made no sense. The door had been opened seconds ago. Jake pointed his flashlight around the room, breathing heavily now. There has to be another way out. But there wasn't. The windows were covered with thick metal bars from the outside. Half the ceiling had collapsed in one corner, exposing broken pipes and hanging wires. Dust floated slowly through the flashlight beams. Then Tyler suddenly froze. Guys. His voice sounded different. Terrified. We turned toward him. He was staring at the chalkboard at the front of the classroom. My stomach dropped instantly. The board was changing. New writing was appearing across it. Slowly, like invisible hands were dragging chalk against the surface. Skriak. The sound filled the room. None of us moved. We just watched the words form letter by letter. My letter. You should not have come back. Tyler backed into me immediately. Did you see that?
Of course we saw it.
Jake's camera captured everything. Marcus whispered, "This can't be real." But before anyone could react further, the intercom crackled again overhead. Static hissed loudly. Then came the voice. Calm, cold. Attendance will now begin. The loud click echoed through the speaker, then silence. Jake slowly looked around the room.
What does that even mean?
Nobody answered, because suddenly a desk moved, just slightly. Why? A tiny scraping sound against the floor. Every flashlight turned toward it instantly. One of the student desks near the back of the classroom had shifted forward a few inches on its own. Tyler looked ready to pass out. "Nope," he whispered repeatedly. "Nope, nope, nope." Another desk moved, then another, scraping slowly across the floor. One by one, the desks started turning toward us. Not fast, slowly, like something invisible was sitting in them, watching us. Marcus grabbed my arm hard. "We need to break this door down." We rushed toward the entrance together and slammed our shoulders against it. Nothing. Slammed our shoulders against it. Nothing. The door barely moved. Jake joined us. 3 of us pushing with everything we had. Still nothing. Then Tyler suddenly shouted from behind us.
Guys!
We turned instantly. Every desk in the classroom was now facing us completely, perfectly aligned. And sitting in the very last desk near the corner of the room was a figure, small, motionless, a child wearing dark clothes. Its head hung low, hair covering its face. None of us had seen it appear. Jake's flashlight trembled violently. "Who's there?" No answer. The figure didn't move. Tyler's breath. Breathing became shaky and uneven. That wasn't there before. The room suddenly felt freezing cold. Cold enough that I could see my own breath now. Marcus whispered, "This isn't possible." Then slowly, the child lifted its head.
I wish it hadn't.
Its face looked wrong. Not bloody, not damaged. Just empty, pale skin, black hollow eyes. A mouth stretched too wide. It stared directly at us, without blinking. Then the lights above us flickered once. The figure disappeared. The desk was empty again. Tyler screamed. Jake backed away so fast he crashed into the teacher's desk behind him. That's when we heard knocking. Soft at first. Tap, 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 coming from inside the walls. We all froze again. The knocking spread across the room slowly, behind us, beside us, above us. Like dozens of people trapped inside the walls were trying to get out. Tap, 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 tap. Then whispering started again. Children's voices, crying, begging, "Please, help us. He's coming." The voices overlapped so badly that it became impossible to understand everything. Marcus covered his ears. "Make it stop, da." The knocking grew louder. Bang, bang, bang. Now it sounded violent. Desperate. Like something was trying to break through the walls themselves. Dust started falling from the ceiling. Tyler ran toward the windows and pulled at the metal bars desperately. "Somebody help us," he screamed. No answer came from outside. Only the building responding. The school bell suddenly rang again. Louder this time. The noise exploded through the classroom, making all of us flinch. Then the intercom voice returned immediately afterward. "Students who leave class will be punished." Jake stared up at the speaker in disbelief. What does it want from us? Before anyone answered, Marcus suddenly noticed something near the teacher's desk. A stack of old papers, attendance sheets. He picked one up carefully while the knocking continued around us. The paper looked ancient, yellowed, covered in dust. Rows of student names filled the page, but near the bottom, several names had been crossed out completely in red ink. Jake stepped closer with the flashlight. Then his face turned pale instantly.
What?
I asked. He pointed at the paper silently. 4 new names had appeared underneath the others, fresh handwriting. Not faded, not old, our names. Mine, Jake's, Marcus's, Tyler's, each one neatly written at the bottom of the attendance sheet, like we had always belonged there. Then beside every name, the word present slowly appeared on its own. The second the word present finished writing itself beside our names, the classroom door unlocked with a loud click. Nobody waited. Marcus grabbed the handle instantly and pulled the door open so hard it slammed against the wall. We rushed out into the hallway together, nearly tripping over each other trying to escape that room. The hallway looked different now, darker, longer somehow. The flickering lights overhead had stopped completely, leaving only our flashlights cutting through the darkness. But even those beams looked weaker now, like the school itself was swallowing the light.
Exit!
Tyler said quickly.
Find the exit right now.
Nobody argued. We started moving fast down the hallway, our footsteps echoing loudly around us. Jake kept filming, but his hands were shaking so badly the camera light bounced everywhere. Marcus suddenly stopped walking.
Do you guys hear that?
At first I heard nothing, then slowly, humming. Soft, a child humming somewhere near. Bye. The sound floated through the hallway like it was moving around us. Tyler looked terrified. Keep moving. But Marcus wasn't listening anymore. He kept staring toward a nearby classroom door, room 214. The humming was coming from inside. Jake grabbed his shoulder. Marcus got no response. Marcus slowly stepped toward the door like he couldn't even hear us anymore. Marcus, I said louder. Still nothing. The humming inside the room grew clearer, a slow childish tune, the kind mothers sing to put kids to sleep. Marcus reached for the doorknob. Tyler grabbed his arm instantly.
What are you doing?
Marcus blinked suddenly like he had just woken up. He looked confused. I thought somebody was calling me. A chill ran through my entire body. Jake frowned. Calling your name? Marcus nodded slowly. Tyler pulled him away from the classroom immediately. Do not listen to anything in this place. We kept moving. Faster now. Nobody wanted to stop anymore. Then Jake's flashlight suddenly flickered.
Wow.
Twice. And for one horrifying second, the beam landed on the wall beside us. Covered in handprints. Small bloody handprints. Hundreds of them. Not drip. Pink blood. Old stains. Like children had desperately pressed their hands against the wall while trying to escape. Tyler cursed quietly under his breath. Jake backed away from the wall. Were those there before? No, I whispered. They definitely weren't. The humming started again, closer this time. Marcus slowed down again immediately. I noticed his breathing changing. His face looked pale, sweaty, his eyes unfocused. Marcus? I asked carefully. He looked at me slowly. Do you hear them? Hear who? The students. Tyler grabbed him again. Stop talking like that. But Marcus pulled away this time. They're trapped here, he whispered. They've been trapped for years. Jake stared at him nervously. Dude, you're freaking me out. Marcus ignored him completely. He kept looking down the hallway like he was listening to something none of us could hear. Then he smiled, not a normal smile. A weak, empty smile. They said the teacher gets angry when people leave early. Every hair on my arms stood up instantly. Tyler stepped backward, slowly. Okay, something's wrong with him. Marcus suddenly turned toward us. They don't want us to go, the way he said. It didn't sound like Marcus anymore. His voice felt distant, almost emotionless. Jake lowered the camera slightly. Marcus, stop messing around. I'm not. The humming stopped instantly. Then the school intercom crackled overhead again. Static hissed through the speakers, and a calm voice spoke softly. Marcus, stay after class. Marcus froze completely. Tyler whispered, how does it know his name? Nobody answered, because at that moment, Marcus started walking away from us, toward the darkness at the end of the hallway, slowly, like he was sleepwalking. Jake rushed after him immediately.
Marcus?
No reaction. Marcus kept walking. His flashlight hung loosely at his side while he disappeared deeper into the hallway shadows. We followed him quickly, shouting his name over and over, but he acted like he couldn't hear us anymore. Then suddenly, he stopped in front of another classroom. Room 227. The door was slightly open. Darkness filled the inside completely. Marcus stood there silently staring into it. Jake grabbed his shoulder hard. Snap out of it! Marcus slowly turned his head toward us. And for 1 second, I swear his eyes looked completely blank. CK, not shadowed, black. Then he blinked and looked normal again.
What?
He said quietly. Tyler looked horrified. Did you just see before he could finish? A loud scream exploded from inside the classroom. Not a child this time. Not a child this time. An adult, screaming in absolute terror. Marcus jumped backward while Jake nearly dropped the camera. Then came crashing sounds from inside the room. Desks slamming around violently. Glass breaking. Something heavy dragging across the floor. But nobody was inside. The doorway remained completely dark. Tyler shouted,
Run!
We all started moving immediately. The hallway suddenly erupted with noise around us. Locker doors slamming. Children laughing somewhere nearby. Footsteps running behind us. Fast. Too fast. Jake kept turning the camera back while we ran, trying to catch whatever was chasing us. But every time the flashlight hit the hallway behind us, nothing was there. Still, the footsteps kept getting closer. Marcus was breathing heavily now. They're following us. Don't look back, Tyler yelled. Then Jake suddenly stopped running. We nearly crashed into him. What are you doing? Tyler shouted. Jake pointed ahead south. Silently, the hallway had changed. The exit door was gone. Completely gone. In its place stood a massive set of double doors we had never seen before. Old wooden doors with faded words painted above them. Auditorium. The humming returned again. Immediately, louder now. Coming from behind those doors. Marcus stepped toward them slowly. They're inside, he whispered. Tyler grabbed him roughly. We are not going in there. Then the doors creaked open by themselves. Just a little. A cold wave of air poured out from the darkness inside. And from somewhere deep within the auditorium, children began clapping slowly in unison. The sound of children clapping inside the auditorium echoed through the hallway slowly. Clap, 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 perfectly synchronized. Like an audience waiting for a show to begin. None of us moved. The doors remained slightly open, revealing nothing except darkness beyond them. But the clapping continued steadily from inside. Tyler looked completely horrified now. We are not going in there. I know, Jake whispered, but Marcus had stopped listening again. He stood frozen in front of the doors, staring into the darkness, like someone was talking. NG directly to him.
Marcus?
I said carefully. No response. The clapping stopped instantly. Then complete silence filled the hallway again, and from somewhere deep inside the auditorium, a little girl laughed. Soft, innocent, completely wrong. Marcus took one slow step forward. Tyler grabbed his jacket immediately. Dude, wake up! Marcus turned toward us slowly. His expression looked empty again. They're waiting, he whispered. Before anyone could react, the auditorium doors suddenly swung open the rest of the way with a loud boom. A freezing blast of air rushed out from inside. Our flashlights swept across the darkness automatically. Rows and rows of seats stretched before us, all occupied. For one horrifying second, I thought the auditorium was full of people. Then the flashlight beams flickered again. The seats were empty. Every single one. Jake's voice shook badly. Did you guys just see that? Nobody answered. Because we all saw it. Marcus stepped into the auditorium first. Tyler cursed under his breath. We can't leave him. None of us wanted to follow. But we had no choice. The second we entered, the doors slammed shut behind us automatically. The noise echoed across the giant room. Jake spun around instantly and pulled at the handles. Locked. Of course they were locked. Our flashlight beams moved across the auditorium slowly. Dust floated through the cold air. Torn curtains hung beside the massive stage at the front of the room, and scattered across the stage floor, children's backpacks, dozens of them. Oh! Rotting. Covered in dust. Tyler whispered, "What happened here?" Then suddenly, every flashlight dimmed at once. Not completely. Just enough to make the room darker, harder to see. That's when we noticed the sound. Breathing. Not ours. Someone else breathing nearby. Slow. Heavy. Jake pointed his flashlight toward the seats. Nothing there. But the breathing continued. Moving. Like something was walking between the rows just out of sight. Marcus slowly started walking toward the stage. Jake hurried after him. Stop wandering off. Marcus ignored him completely. The closer we got to the stage, the colder the room became. My hands felt numb holding the flashlight. Then Tyler suddenly grabbed my arm tightly.
Look!
He pointed toward the stage curtain. A shadow was visible behind it. Tall, unnaturally tall, standing perfectly still. Jake saw it too. His breathing immediately changed. "Someone's there," he whispered. The shadow moved slightly. One long arm slowly rising against the curtain. Then came the sound, a ruler smacking hard against a desk. Crack. The noise exploded through the auditorium. Marcus stopped walking instantly. Then a calm male voice echoed from behind the curtain. "Take your seats." Tyler backed away immediately. "Nope." Another loud crack echoed. "Now!" The theater seats around us suddenly started moving, folding down on their own, one after another. Rows opening like invisible students were sitting in them. Jake pointed the camera around wildly. "What is happening?" Then the lights above the stage flickered on for half a second, and we saw them. Children sitting in the audience. Dozens of them, motionless, all staring directly at us. The lights immediately died again. Darkness swallowed everything. Tyler screamed. Marcus whispered softly, "They've been here the whole time." The breathing sound suddenly surrounded us from every direction. Jake grabbed Marcus hard. "We're leaving. Right now." But before we could move, the stage curtain slowly began opening by itself. Screech. The sound echoed painfully through the auditorium. A small gap appeared first, then wider and wider until the entire stage became visible. At first, it looked empty. Then our flashlight beams reached the center. A classroom desk sat alone, under a dim hanging light, and standing beside it was the teacher, tall, thin, wearing dark old-fashioned clothes, its face hidden in shadow. One arm hung too long at its side. The other held a wooden ruler. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The figure tilted its head slowly toward us. Then the intercom voice returned overhead. Only this time, it wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from the thing on stage. "Late students," it whispered. The voice sounded calm, almost gentle, which somehow made it worse. Marcus suddenly stepped forward. Jake grabbed him instantly.
What are you doing?
Marcus looked terrified now. Not empty anymore. Terrified.
I can hear them.
He whispered desperately. They're screaming. Then we heard it too. Faint at first. Children screaming. Not around us. Below us. Under the auditorium floor. Dozens. Of voices crying for help beneath our feet. Of voices crying for help beneath our feet. Tyler looked ready to throw up. Oh my God. The teacher lifted the ruler slowly. The screaming beneath the floor instantly stopped. Silence returned. Silence returned. The figure pointed toward the desk on stage. You will stay after class. Jake suddenly shouted, "Run!" We turned toward the auditorium doors instantly. But the seats between us and the exit were moving now, folding upward violently, blocking the path, rows slamming shut one after another. The entire room shaking around us. Then footsteps started descending from above. Slow, heavy, hemming from the balcony level overhead. We pointed our flashlights upward together. Shapes stood along the balcony railing. Children, dozens of them, watching us silently from the darkness. Then every single one pointed toward Marcus at the exact same time. All the children on the balcony were pointing at Marcus, not at us. Just him, perfectly still. Not a single movement, except those small pale hands aimed directly downward, like he was the only thing in the entire auditorium that mattered. Marcus stepped back slowly. No. No. No, no, no. He whispered under his breath. Jake Rye. Set his camera again, but even his hands were shaking too much to keep it steady. The flashlight beam flickered across the balcony again and again, but the children didn't move. They just kept pointing at Marcus, like they had been waiting for him specifically the entire time. Tyler grabbed my arm so tightly it hurt. "We need to get out of here right now," he said, voice breaking. But there was nowhere left to go. The seats behind us were already rising into place like walls. The exit was completely blocked now. Rows of empty chairs stacked together, locking us inside the center aisle like a cage. The only open space left was the stage and the teacher. Marcus suddenly covered his ears. "Stop. Stop talking, Marcus." Jake stepped closer. "What are you hearing?" Marcus shook his head violently. "They're all talking at once. I can't think." Then he froze again, but this time it wasn't like before. This felt different. His body went completely still. His eyes widened slightly, like something had just clicked inside his mind. Then he slowly lowered his hands. "They're not angry," he whispered. Tyler frowned. "Why?" They're not angry," he repeated. "They're waiting for class to finish." Jake cursed loudly. "Marcus, snap out of it." But Marcus didn't even look at him anymore. He started walking forward, straight toward the stage. "No!" Tyler shouted and rushed after him, grabbing his arm again. "You are not going up there." Marcus stopped for a second. His head tilted slightly like he was listening. Then he spoke softly. "I think I was always here." That sentence didn't make sense. None of it did. But something about the way he said it made my stomach drop. The children on the balcony stopped pointing. The children on the balcony stopped pointing, all at once, their arms lowered slowly. And for the first time, they looked at us, not just Marcus, all of us. Jake's camera caught every single face turning in unison. No blinking, no movement, just staring. Then the teacher on stage moved for the first time. The ruler tapped the desk once. Crack. The sound echoed like a gunshot. "Attendance is incomplete," it said calmly. The lights above flickered again. And suddenly more children appeared in the seats. Not entering, not walking. Just there, sitting silently where empty chairs had been seconds before. T. Ila's voice broke completely. Where are they coming from? Nobody answered. Because we could all see it now. The auditorium wasn't filling. It was revealing. Like something was peeling away layers of reality and showing us what had always been there. Marcus stepped onto the stage. Jake tried to follow him, but Tyler pulled him back. Don't go up there. But Marcus didn't look scared anymore. He looked calm, almost relieved. The teacher turned its head toward him slowly. Late, it said softly. Marcus nodded. Yes. That single word made everything go quiet. Even the breathing sound stopped. The teacher lifted the ruler again and pointed at the empty desk beside it. Sit. Marcus obeyed. He walked slowly and sat down at the desk like it was the most normal thing in the world. Tyler screamed his name, Marcus. But Marcus didn't respond. He just stared forward, at nothing, at everything. Jake stepped forward slightly. We have to get him out. No, I said without realizing it. Because I could feel it now too. Something pulling, not physically, inside my mind, a pressure building behind my thoughts, like the building itself was trying to override them. The teacher turned its face slightly toward us. Even though we still couldn't see its features clearly, I knew it was looking directly at me. You are disrupting class, it said. The children in the audience all tilted their heads at the same time, slow, perfectly synchronized. Tyler backed away slowly. We didn't do anything. Crack. The ruler hit the desk again, harder this time. The sound shook the entire auditorium, and then the lights went completely out. Total darkness. Jake's flashlight flickered wildly, cutting through the black for just seconds at a time. In those flashes, I saw movement everywhere. Children standing in the aisles now. Not sitting anymore. Standing, closer, surrounding us. Tyler's breathing became uncontrollable. We're actually surrounded. A whisper came from somewhere behind me. Close, right at my ear. Stay. I spun around instantly, flashlight shaking. Nothing was there, but I felt it. Cold breath. Jake shouted, We need to move now. We tried to run toward the aisle leading to the stage, but the seats slammed shut again, blocking the path completely. The entire auditorium was shifting, closing in, like it was shrinking around us. Marcus suddenly stood up from the desk on stage, slowly, mechanically, and when he turned toward us, his eyes were completely black, not shadowed, not dim, empty black. No, Tyler whispered. Marcus smiled faintly. They want us to stay for the whole lesson. The teacher raised its ruler one last time, and every child in the auditorium spoke together at once. Class has begun.